Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bridging the Gap. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below and subscribe. My name is Alvin. I lean right on most issues, and I'll be representing the Republican side.
My name is Luke. I lean left on most issues, and I'll be representing the Democratic side. Now, in this video, we will be doing our final ratings for the 2022 governor's elections. We may change some right before election day if anything major changes, but generally, these are going to be our final predictions.
All right, so there's a lot of solid states that we thought just needed a little bit of explanation, like Maryland and Massachusetts, which currently have Republican governors, but Democrats will be taking over shortly once the moderate ones leave. We have the other ones in New England where Republicans have strong popular governors in Vermont and New Hampshire, which will easily hold on, as well as Iowa and Ohio, where they're extremely popular as well, even though they're traditional swing states. We have a Democrat, Jared Polis, in Colorado, who's also very popular, who's going to easily win by over 10 points. And now I think we're ready to really talk about some of the states that are a bit closer. So let's start with Illinois, which we barely weren't sure about, but talk about it.
Yeah, so I mean, generally, you'd think Illinois to be a solid Democratic state, one that votes Democrats consistently over 10 points. But this year seems to be a different story. J.B. Pritzker, a recent poll put him up only 9 in Emerson poll. That Emerson's quite credible. So if a pollster like that puts him at 9, then okay, then it could fall down to likely. But I mean, personally, I think he's still going to win above 10. I think undecided chances are going to vote for the incumbent, and I think he will be favored here. I think it's solid. But what do you think, Alan?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, like this one seems hyped up for no reason. I think this is solid, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was under 10. All right. Now, there's a lot of other solid states. Like in the Northeast, I think Connecticut and Rhode Island are just safe. There's a bit of a little bit of controversy around these ratings, maybe. Connecticut, Stefanowski's back and he only lost by 3 points in 2018. And then we have Rhode Island, where the incumbent governor is didn't do so well in the primary, didn't even get a third of the vote, but he seems to get more popular, and the polls show him above 10. I think solids, yes.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, but Lamont at least has been polling extremely well, and I think in the end, McKee's been polling a little worse, like around that 10-point margin. But I think undecideds, there's a lot of undecideds in those polls, and I think their chances are going to break for incumbent. Yeah.
Now, I think there's 2 more safe states on this map that I would like to characterize, and those are going to be Texas and Florida. What are your thoughts on these 2 characterizations?
Florida, I can 100% agree with. Everything's been kind of going DeSantis' way. It's just been flying to him. Charlie Crist, the former Democratic governor, actually the former Republican governor running as a Democrat who's running against DeSantis, isn't that good of hype of a candidate. He's like a Joe Biden style candidate. When I look at him, he reminds me of Joe Biden. Not very energizing for Democrats. And obviously DeSantis is the Republican superstar. He's been polling better. Everything's been going his way. Definitely over 10 points. As for Texas, this one's closer. I mean, we see a lot of polls showing it between likely and solid. So between right on the border of a double-digit margin here for Greg Abbott and Beto O'Rourke. I think in the end, Greg Abbott will get this above 10 points because of the Republican shifts. Everything seems to be trending his way. So I think it will be a solid race in Texas.
All right. Yeah. I think that's just the right characterization, honestly, at this point. Yeah. So let's move on to the not so solid states.
Next, I think we should talk about PA here because
Alaska.
No, PA. I think Pennsylvania here. Yeah, because Pennsylvania, here we've seen lots of polling showing the Democrat above double digits too. So this one, this is one I know you weren't really considering as a solid, but this one I was sort of considering it as a solid race. I was thinking about it for sure. I think only Republican pollsters have the Democrat not up by double digits. I think 1 or 2 of them still has them up to double digits. Like Susquehanna was leaning right, and then they have him up by a bunch. But yeah, so I don't know. This one could be solid too. Personally, I'm kind of borderline at this between likely and solid because Shapiro's been doing so well in the polls. Shapiro's overperformed Biden in 2020, popular attorney general. Meanwhile, he's running against an extremist in Doug Mastriano, and Doug Mastriano is so extreme. He has such extreme positions on abortion, like complete bans, and like is such an anti-democratic, like anti like democracy dude that even the Republican Party won't fund his campaign. So I don't know. I think it could be solid. What's your call here? I mean, I'm kind of in the middle. Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't see Oz like potentially winning this, which I think he's favored. Keep your eye out for the center prediction, by the way. I don't think this ticket is gonna split 12 points. Like I'm much more inclined to think this is likely at the end of the day. If Shapiro wins by over 10, like good job to him, but I just currently don't see that happening at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. And then I think we should touch on Alaska, which is the final like likely slash solid state. This one, ranked choice voting in Alaska, super whack. We have Dunleavy, the Republican incumbent, with not so much polling, and Bill Walker, a former governor, independent, and Les Gara, the Democrat running. And it seems like Les Gara is like probably going to get to the final round with Dunleavy, where Dunleavy can certainly win by over 10. But it's not fully sure. Walker, a lot of things could happen. First, Walker could get to the final round and get this closer, but Dunleavy still seems to be getting over 50% even after the second round. And of course, Charlie Pierce could just give him 50%, and Les Gara could get to the final round as well, and he could lose by over 10. But there's enough uncertainty in this race where this is the right characterization is likely, in my opinion. But it's very possible, like maybe 30 to 40% chance safe.
Yeah, I generally agree. There's a lot of scenarios where this could shake out where Dunleavy just wins outright, or it goes to another round where more of the Democratic and more liberal and moderate votes consolidated and it's closer. So yeah, just for that sake, we're going to put this in likely here.
Alrighty. Now there's a lot of likely states that we should talk about as well, and we might as well just finish out the South with Georgia. I mean, why not, right? Mm-hmm. Georgia, Brian Kemp, Stacey Abrams, rematch of 2018, but Kemp's been doing a whole lot better in the polling. Wow. Like he's been really taking off recently. Even though it seemed like Stacey Abrams might have had a chance in the summer, like it's just not looking good for her. And yeah, what are your thoughts on this race?
Yeah, I mean, it's Stacey Abrams, the Democratic superstar, against essentially, an incumbent established Republican who kind of can appear more moderate than he otherwise is, because he did have that defiance against Trump after the 2020. I mean, so a lot of people may think, oh, this guy's more moderate, even though he really isn't. I think he definitely he's like on paper he's favored, and I mean in the polls he clearly is. So yeah, I think this is going to be a likely race, despite the shifts in Georgia, like between 5 and 10 points here.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it going to lean. Like, don't quote me on the likely fully, but I think right now, as with everything taken into account, Georgia polls are usually pretty accurate. We're going likely Republican. All right. Now let's head into the northeast-ish area. I guess we can just start from Maine. And in my opinion, I think this one is still likely Democrat. Like I've never, as a Republican, never really been super, super confident on Maine ever. But even with this year, even with Paula Page being a former governor, this just doesn't seem right to me. I think this one is going to stay into likely Democrat with all this polling.
Yeah, I would agree here. Janet Mills has been ahead in every poll. And I mean, she also has ranked choice voting going for her too. So she can get votes from the independent candidates because she's more moderated. Paula Page, on the other hand, is way more extreme. Aligns himself way more with the farther right wing. So yeah, I think Mills is definitely favored to win here. Yeah.
All right, let's head into New York. What are your thoughts on this somewhat tightening race?
Well, New York, we saw really tightening during October, like really getting closer, single digits. Mm-hmm. But that closening seems to have kind of halted. I mean, like as Dems have been investing more into this race. I mean, Dems investing into New York isn't exactly a good sign. but it seems to be helping in this case here. Kathy Hochul's polling has improved slightly, and there's like an Emerson poll showed her increasing her lead by 2. Democrats, I mean, I know they've been pouring more money into this race. They got Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris to campaign for her, so they're bringing out all the Dem superstars for Kathy Hochul here. Zeldin's doing well for a Republican in New York, but I don't think it's going to be enough. So I would say it's like the single digits likely margin between 5 and 10 here. Yeah.
Yeah, I just agree with everything you said. Dem sounded the alarm in time. They're gonna hold on to New York. If Zeldin somehow wins this is the upset of the century, probably.
Yeah, the legend of Zeldin, as you described it.
It should be the Legion of Zeldin because his first name is Lee. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. There we go. Okay.
Bigger brain stuff here.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right. Let's head to Michigan, which is probably the last state that is really gonna. Well, there's a few more, but I think Michigan's the most contentious between lean and likely. Might as well just move east to west at this point. So Michigan. Tudor Dixon's been fighting back. You know, a lot of people wrote her off. You know, they wrote her off in the summer, but she didn't write back apparently because she's back and she's better now, right? We've got some polling that seems to indicate a closer race than people expected in the summer for sure. Whitmer's been staying around the 50% mark in all the polls, while Dixon's consolidated the base. They've gotten her to a decent margin. I think this one is probably just inside the lean for me at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this one has been really close in here. I think Whitmer is definitely still ahead. Republican pollsters have, for the most part, have had Whitmer up by 1 or 2 points or even. So that indicates to me that Whitmer's still ahead. And independent pollsters have been pretty bullish in putting Whitmer up a decent margins. Emerson recently had her up 5. I think, yeah, I would say it's around lean. Maybe Whitmer leading by around 3 or 4 right now. But yeah, this is definitely close since this is summer by a lot.
Yeah, lean Democrat Michigan. I think this one is one of the most likely races to shift into another column in the final 2-3 days before the election, just because it's so close. There's got the abortion thing going on. Things could change. So keep an eye out on this one. And yeah, make sure to be here for the next videos or for the next few days. It's going to be a lot of videos. So
of course.
Anyways, I think let's head to Minnesota because Wisconsin's so close. Let's go to Minnesota where it's not so close. Tim Walz, Democrat, Scott Jensen, Republican. Thoughts?
Yeah, Tim Walz generally has been doing pretty good in the polling, except for that one Republican Trafalgar poll showing Jensen up 1. So I mean that shows me that Walz is still ahead. But the question is by how much? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think I could see this in lean Democrat. There's a shot it could even go into likely Democrat. I mean, Tim Walz has been okay in favorability. He's been above water. Yeah, I don't know where do you want to put this? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so on the border that I was gonna ask you, but I think maybe we just chuck this one into lean for now since there's so much.
Just a question real quick.
Yeah.
Do you know if there's a legal weed party?
I don't think so. I think Hugh McTavish is the one Independence Alliance party or something. I don't know. But there doesn't seem to be a major legal weed presence in any of the polls. So yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what's going on here. I think the generic ballot might just somehow shift Scott Jensen, which is a very generic Republican, of course, somehow over getting within 5. But this one is so like on the border. This is another one that can easily shift into likely. So
yeah, if we get a little more information and data, that one could shift. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if I agree with it being in lean, but like because of generally the Republican shifts, I think we can put it.
I'm not sure
put it
either.
there.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to New Mexico since the final one that's not in the big 5.
Yeah.
Close. Okay. So New Mexico. And there was some interesting polling recently out of New Mexico, right? The Emerson College poll putting Chad Ronchetti within 2 points in New Mexico. And like Luan Grisham hasn't really broken 50 like ever. Like she just doesn't do it in the polls, which is quite concerning for a New Mexico governor. And Ronchetti did do pretty well in that Senate election in 2020. So I'm thinking this is definitely the lean Democrat at this exact point in time.
Yeah, I would largely agree. I would largely agree here. This has been closening a lot, but I think Luan Grisham's still in the lead. Emerson put her barely at 2. And I mean, but Trafalgar does have Ronchetti one. Yeah, that makes me pretty confident this is a lean race still.
Yeah, this one Ronchetti could pull off an upset. Like this is certainly possible. I would keep an eye out on New Mexico for sure. All right. Now the big five. Do you want to go west to east or east to west?
I
Let's
mean,
go east to west then. So we can end with
I don't mind.
Oregon.
Yeah.
You know, Oregon, we got to end
Yeah,
with
we should
Oregon.
end with Oregon. Yeah, we should end with Oregon.
All right,
That's a fun.
Wisconsin.
That's kind of a mean one here. Okay.
Yeah.
Wisconsin here we have Governor Tony Evers going up against businessman Tim Michels. I don't know. The polling's been interesting. It's definitely been closer in the governor's race than in the Senate race, I will say. But generally, like Michels has still been in the lead. Wisconsin had a big polling error in favor of what?
Democrats.
Well, in favor of Democrats in 2020, like a high bias toward Democrats. I think this is a lean R race.
Let's
I
also
think
note
definitely favors Michels. Yeah.
Let's also note that the independent withdrew and endorsed Michels. So
that's true.
Anything in that sort of range could push Michels into the lean, if anything. Even if assuming the polls are perfect, the Beglinger, I don't know, the Beglinger vote will move into Michels' column. I think it's pretty funny to see these polls because either they're going to be spot on or Michels could win by a likely margin and everyone will laugh again.
But
so
then, that could happen. Yeah.
Lean Wisconsin. All right. Now let's go to Kansas, where I think you should give the first points here.
Well, Kansas here we have Laura Kelly, a Democratic governor in the conservative state of Kansas. Definitely a more moderate Democrat. Going up against Derek Schmidt, I believe. Is he the Attorney General of Kansas? I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, right here.
Right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Attorney General.
Polling here has been pretty scarce. But with what we have, it seems to be going in Laura Kelly's direction. I mean, I like it seems like this is contrary to Republicans are doing super well on the generic ballot now. It's been trending in their direction nationally, but it seems to be trending the opposite way here in Kansas. So I don't know. I think Laura Kelly is might even be ahead here. I'm willing to put this tilt Democrat. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the exact same thing. I was gonna put this one in tilt Democrat as well, which is crazy. Considering in our last prediction
from our last one,
yeah, we put tilt Republican, so it is technically only a rating change of 1, but it's a major rating change. It would be a major moral victory for Democrats in a year where they seem to be losing on almost all swing states. If they could hold on to Kansas and run that as a headline, that might give them some morale, right? So yeah, blue Kansas for now. Again, this is another one. Everything past Michigan, Minnesota is bound to switch big time. So we're gonna make sure to look at this, and this could easily go either way. But I think with Laura Kelly, that one Emerson poll probably pushed me over the edge to make this tilt Democrat. I think objectively she's just the favorite. But Schmidt was the right candidate to run for the Republicans. I think he has a really good shot of winning, but Kelly has maybe a 55% chance. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now let's go to Arizona, where unfortunately for the Democrats, the last name is not Kelly, because if your last name is Kelly, you seem to be doing better as a Democrat, especially in Arizona, right? Katie Hobbs is not performing so well. She's going against another extremist, but this time she can't put up a fight for some reason. Hobbs couldn't debate. Hobbs couldn't do anything. Hobbs is up here with losing basically every single poll. We're going to disregard this mayor's poll, to be honest. Like, looking at the poll aggregate, we can see Lake winning by 2 to 3 points. Okay, that's pretty solid. And even like somewhat reputable pollsters like Emerson R+3, stuff like that. I mean, I think there's no incumbent like Mark Kelly in the race. This is a lean Republican race.
Yeah, I largely agree with you here. So it's Katie Hobbs, the current Arizona Secretary of State, going up against who runs elections. Secretary of State runs elections, going up against the election denier Kari Lake. So it's kind of in itself a battle over our democracy here. But yeah, Lake has had a consistent lead in the polls. I think personally, Katie Hobbs still is a decent shot here. A lot of these polls are Republican leaning polls, like KA Consulting, all have her up by like a few digits. Like Insider Advantage has Lake up by 3. KA Consulting, which polls for a Republican firm, has Lake up by 4. I think it's and Wick has Lake up by 2. Yeah, I think it's possible that that there is a polling error and Katie Hobbs wins. I mean, she won with a polling error in 2018 against her, but I don't know.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to see. I do agree with you here though. Generally, it looks like it's lean R, and it's gonna be like a Republican year. It definitely looks like that. So yeah, let's put this in.
Yeah, it looks like it could possibly likely Republican too, though, if the error is in the other direction. And hopefully Trafalgar comes out with one final poll on Arizona on Monday because they haven't done one in a very long while, and they've been releasing for all the other swing states. So please, Trafalgar, please release one here. All right, let's go to Nevada. Nevada, Joe Lombardo, the former current Clark County Sheriff. I don't know.
Sure.
I never know. I never know, and it's sad. But anyways, Lombardo is from Clark County, and that's where the population is. And he's going against the incumbent governor, who is not extremely popular. He's just a generic D. Lombardo seems to be an above average R. And he's, for some reason, it flipped, right? And over the summer, it seemed like he was underperforming Adam Laxalt in the Senate race, but now he's overperforming in most of the polls. We've seen him moving forward. He's starting to get, R+4 in the Emerson poll, which did very well in 2020, I believe. It was like spot on. So yeah, I think like taking everything into account, it looks like this is another lean R race. And I think the best case scenario is now a likely R, which we did not put in the best case R scenario.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I believe Trafalgar even put this at +7 Republican in late October, so that's an R leading pollster. I reckon it's a lean Republican race, but I don't know if the wave's big enough, it could go above 5, definitely. We'll see. And then finally here, our final race here, we have the 3-way battle in Oregon. Tina Kotek, the Democratic, I know she's a leader of one of the bodies in the state legislature there. Christine Drazan, the Republican, and then Betsy Johnson, the Independent. Okay, in this race, it's been interesting because we've gotten recent polling just yesterday showing Tina Kotek kind of rebounding a little bit. I mean, an Emerson poll just put her up. What was it? 5 or 6? 5 or 6? Yeah. I mean, that's pretty solid considering they had her down 2 earlier. And also something else to note is that the Independent Betsy Johnson's polling's been tanking over the last few weeks, for one. And for 2, Democrats have been investing more into Tina Kotek in Oregon. I think Biden campaigned there a few weeks ago. So Democrats are worried about Oregon. Again, not a great sign, but it looks like their work's paying off a little bit. And to me, this could be back at a lean Democrat seat, maybe even tilt Democrat. So like tilt lean for me. What do you think?
I think this is lean, honestly. I honestly had higher hopes for Drazan before, but yeah, Emerson's honestly the only like A-rated pollster in this place. Like Trafalgar's in here in mid-October, but they still have Johnson. They still have Johnson at probably too high a percent. I think Johnson is probably going to end up under 10% at the end of the day. Emerson's probably more accurate here. I would give this a leading Democrat characterization, which, now that we're done characterizing the races, it's important to note that there's a lot of races moving in either direction. And something weird to note is a lot of the safer D states have been moving into lean D, like likelies into leans and safes into likelies. But we've seen the very close states move somewhat into the Democrat column, like Oregon and Kansas, even though, AZ moved to the right. But Yeah.
Mhm.
So a lot of and then some other states consolidated, like Texas and Florida.
Yeah.
So a lot of movement all across the board, I think. But this is definitely a better ending outcome for the Democrats. If they can hold on to 22 governorships, that's honestly pretty impressive for this year. It would be a decent result for them overall. Finally,
Yep.
let's look at these betting markets. 28 is not exactly favored, as you can see in these betting markets. We're not exactly in the mainstream here. The people putting their money where their mouth is think that Republicans are going to somehow, I don't know, flip New Mexico and Michigan or something and get 32 or more, or 31, 30. So we're at the
Yeah.
lower end of the scale, I can't lie, but we think we're pretty confident with this. So
Hmm.
all right.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to leave a like on this video down below, comment down below, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications.
Yeah. And please share with your friends. Election day is so close.
Oh yeah. All right. Make sure to keep in touch for our Senate video and our final predictions. So thanks for watching. Bye.
See ya.